Hey, this is Mike Metcalf from Lanark Equipment again, here to talk to you today about the Kubota R540 wheel loader. We're going to get into all the features and benefits and who this is best for. Stick around for the rest. All right, so the R540, who's it for? And it's probably a shorter list to tell you who it's not for than who it's for. This really does fit into a lot of different applications. If you're a landscaper moving armor stone and you need that maneuverability of the front end, if you're in a landscape depot loading and constantly loading aggregates and different materials like that into different trucks, this is the guy you want to have because you want that high lift capacity, high lift, and great dump angle to be able to get into the back of those trucks. You know, if you're on a farm and you're moving heavy material, because of the skid steer adapter at the front, any kind of implement, even if it's a bale spear, can go on there. And we even see wheel loaders becoming a lot more popular into snow removal. So really there are a lot of different facets to a wheel loader where this can work. We actually even use one here at Lanark Equipment to unload the Kubota trucks of our equipment, to be able to drive right into the back of a truck and drive right back out. And again, having that front end that completely moves allow you to shift that load right or left. So whether that's a load or a piece of armor stone or anything like that, you've got that ability to make those fine-tuned adjustments right at the front end without having to back in and reset yourself like you would on a typical forklift. So lots of different applications for this, lots of different places where it's going to fit and give you a solid machine. And really now we just need to talk about the features and benefits to find out if the 540 is the right machine for you, or maybe you need to go bigger to the 640. One thing I want to point out is that there are actually a few different models within the wheel loader range. We've got the smaller series like the R430, and then we jump up into the R540, and then the bigger brother, the R640. There are some different cab options between them, the 430 having a slightly smaller cab, not quite as much glass, and then the R5 and 640 that both have this much more visible cab in terms of visibility and obviously more power and lift capacity. Let's get into all the specs. So we're here at the business end of the R540, and one thing that people often want to know about is a few things, obviously, lifting capacity being one of them, but also what can get in the bucket. With this bucket, we're looking at 0.83 of a yard, so not quite a full yard, but more than 3/4. So certainly you can move quite a lot of aggregate with that. But when we're talking about lifting capacity, one thing we want to talk about as well is the weight of the machine. This machine clocks in at 10,280 pounds. So you've got a very solid base, very rugged, heavy base to keep you on the ground, which is what lends itself to being able to lift so much. The tipping load on this machine is 6,700 plus pounds. So I think it's 6,783 or whatever the number is, but it's over 6,700 pounds on a straight lift. Okay, so that means that if you got 6,700 pounds plus, that starts to get a little tippy on the front end. So a lot of companies will come out with what they call the operating load, which is what this machine can lift safely, have the bucket at completely full height, and still drive around and maneuver. And for this machine, that's 2,900 pounds. So almost 3,000 pounds you can keep right up in the air, moving around, and you're going to be completely sure-footed on the ground. So that is very, very heavy loads. And obviously, if that won't cut it for you, we can look at the 640 to get you a little bit more power. In terms of operational here at the front end, we've got a hydraulic skid steer plate. So that means that I can release this bucket and connect a set of pallet forks without ever having to leave the cab. Just hit a button, release the implement, go to the next, hook it on, press the button, lock it in, and you're off to the races. No getting out of the machine to have to mess with any levers or things like that. You've got tons of grease points here right at the front end as well to keep all that action working well for you. And right here at the front as well, we've even got some auxiliary ports. There's a ton of space around them, so it's very easy to get in and hook up those implements, whether you're talking a grapple or a blade, or even anything that's hydraulically driven that's a standard flow. This machine's putting out 14.2 gallons a minute, so you got lots of power there. Certainly not a high flow machine in terms of comparatively to skid steers, but you've got tons of power to run lots of different implements that are hydraulically driven. Again, grapples being probably one of the most common, as well as having your pallet forks and things like that. And they're actually on a different circuit than the hydraulic quick releases. So it's a really powerful system in that respect. And moving slowly back here, we've got our business end here, not just the bucket, but the actual lifting pattern. This is a self-leveling loader, which means that the bucket is always going to maintain, or forks, maintain its level to the ground as you lift, okay? And that's really important. If you've got a heavy load on a set of pallet forks, if you've got an inexperienced operator lifting up on other machines and you've got a radial lift, that load can end up on the front of the machine, and that's not where we want it. So having self-leveling takes some of that guesswork out and allows you to go right into a set of pallet forks, knowing that you're level, and you've even got visual representation of that right here on top of the cylinder. So right from the cab position, I can see my different positions and I can see exactly where I'm struck level. So again, I can do that all from the cab. I'm not leaning out or anything like that to get level. It's right there on top, and extremely convenient to be able to get those loads in. And that's the name of the game with this, is moving heavy stuff in an efficient way and doing it safely. Now, it might be hard to see from that angle, but obviously we're gonna have some close-ups here for you, or if you get a chance to see one of these in person, it's certainly worth looking at. But the chassis on this articulated wheel loader is, above all, it's insane. It is incredibly thick steel everywhere. You'd be really hard-pressed to wreck this without driving maybe the 640 into it. It'd be really hard-pressed to wreck this. It's got tons of strength and durability. Again, it is an articulated wheel loader, so the front end is where it's going to pivot right from here in front of the cab. So again, your maneuverability is huge. And even again, if you've got something on a set of pallet forks and maybe you just need to shift it over a little bit, just by turning that steering wheel, it will turn that front end and shift your load over. So for fine adjustments, this has an advantage over a set of, or over a normal forklift, because you'd have to back out, reset, and come back in with a forklift, where this one, I do have some ability to be able to shift things right or left. We've got a great working light here on the front, as well as some LEDs on the cab, lots of mirrors for the visibility, although again, when you've got this much glass on a cab, you probably find you don't need the mirrors all that much, because you've got 360-degree panoramic view, very little to obstruct that view. So again, safety is going to be huge, being able to get into the loads, and if you are working at some sort of landscape depot where people don't always know how to behave around machines, you're going to be able to see them even if they're not paying attention to what you're doing. So you're going to be able to keep people safe, and again, you've got that strength and durability and ruggedness to do those heavy jobs. Now, we want to talk about tires as well. On the wheel loader series, there are 3 different tire options. We've got a snow industrial tire, a standard radial industrial tire, and then a bias tire. So depending on whether you're snow removal or aggregates or anything like that, we can customize the tire based on your application. So certainly ask your sales rep about it, and they can help you find that appropriate tire to cover you for all your applications. All right, so I'm up here in the cab of the R540, and I've got tons of visibility. There is glass absolutely everywhere. I can see exactly what's going on. So again, for safety, that's huge. When you compare to something like a skid steer, although a skid steer has the ability to turn within its own space, the visibility on a skid steer is usually not all that great, especially out the back. So by having a lot of glass, a lot of clearance, and a very steep slope on the engine compartment, I've got great visibility behind me, beside me, and in front of me. So there's no place I'm going to be able to go with this where I'm going to be wondering if I've got space or not. I can literally see everything I'm trying to do, which allows me to do the job a lot quicker, safer, and that's very, very important. Another thing that's kind of nice on this cab is you've got a tilt steering right here on the column, so really easy to get at. And they've made some changes as well in terms of how you engage forward, reverse, neutral, and things like that. There used to be some switches. There was a lot more sort of going on here. Everything that I need for general operation is going to be right here on my loader valve, so very, very comfortable to operate. I can switch between high and low, forward and reverse and neutral, as well as completely control the loader all in one place. So it allows me to keep one hand on the steering wheel so I can direct where I'm going, while at the same time I can manipulate my load and do it all with ease and without having to move my hands around a lot to try to find button switches or controls. So ergonomics are huge on this, and again, it's going to allow you to get the job done quicker, easier, and safer. All of your major switches are all going to be here on the right-hand side, so whether or not you're engaging your third function valve, can turn your self-leveling on and off, different lockouts for your hydraulics as well, lights, all that stuff is here on the right-hand side, as well as your thermostat. So you've got your air conditioning for the summer, your heater for the winter if you're doing the snow application, lots of vents. It's really, I could go on and on because there's so much going on here in such a powerhouse that you really got to sit in one to appreciate it. Cup holder over here for your coffee, you know, in those long days, whether it's cold or hot, we're having coffee all year round. So you got a nice spot for that, a good wire cup holder, so it's going to be durable. It's going to be able to take a hit too, unlike some of the plastic molded ones. And what's also nice too about this particular machine is it's hydrostatic, but because you've got your forward and reverse here, you just have a single pedal. So if you set it to reverse, you hit your pedal, that's where you're going. So there's no double pedal, no treadle pedal. One pedal does it all, and then you control your direction right here on the control stick, making it much easier. And again, there's lots of different light options as well. I know I already mentioned that there's LEDs on the front. We can add beacons and strobes to the back and other work lights. And so it all depends on what you're doing. The key here is that knowing that this is the right machine for you, which I know we've covered, and the rest you can sort out with your sales rep. So don't hesitate to ask the questions, ask about the tires, ask about the lights, and your sales rep will certainly be able to direct you into the right application to get everything sorted for you so you can get your job done. All right, so we're back here at the engine compartment, so let's get this opened up so we can show you. And you may notice there that the exhaust doesn't completely leave with the machine, but it does separate here to allow that to open and gives you significantly more clearance to access your engine and do services, whatever you're going to do. You've got your fuel separator here, right out in front. You've got your overflow here. So everything is very accessible. Oil fill, everything's right here at the front, or back, I guess I should say, to allow you to do those services. And this is a 47.9 horsepower Kubota diesel engine. They've used this engine in more products than just this, so it's a very, very familiar engine. It's got that Kubota name, so you know it's going to hold up to anything. As we say here, they're pretty near bulletproof. As long as you do your services on them, they're going to be there for you for many, many years to come. They hold their value, they get the job done, and they've got one of the best diesel names in the industry. So it looks like a lot crammed into a small place, because it is, but all the stuff that you need to service is very, very accessible, easy to get at, and will get the job done. So thanks for checking out our video today on the wheel loader series, specifically the Kubota R540. Obviously, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us at 613-264-0485, or you can even stop by and see us at 6253 Highway 43 in Perth, right between Perth and Smiths Falls. Don't hesitate to leave a comment down below if you like what you see and you want to see more, or if you even have a suggestion on something that you'd like to see. Leave that down below, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.